This podcast is brought to you by the Prospect Research Institute, where researchers come to learn, innovate, and connect.
Remembering it's not about us and our cause, it's about them and what they need. And so I've always tried to figure out what people want and what people need.
Welcome to Prospect Research Chat Bites, a podcast by and for prospect research professionals. I'm Jennifer Filla. Today, I'm talking with Linda Smith, formerly Chief Fundraiser at Opportunity Village in Nevada, and now founder and chair of the Christopher Smith Foundation. Hello, Linda. Thank you for joining me today on Chat Bites.
It's wonderful to be here.
Now, in your book, Confessions of a Sin City Fundraiser, you tell the story about how you landed your first fundraising job. If you could go back in time, what training do you wish you could have had before you jumped into that job?
Oh, I think, basically the training, the seat of the pants training I had really served me well. I came from that school of hard knocks and I had to figure things out. And not being the first fundraiser at a large charitable organization, I had to figure it out because there was no one there to tell me. And, I didn't know really at the time that fundraising is a real profession. I had been a volunteer for a long time. I guess I didn't I didn't have knowledge of the basic principles of fundraising, things like eyes and ears before mouth, or no is just the beginning of a negotiation. These are things that I had to learn. And I think those lessons and the mistakes I made helped me be a successful fundraiser because I did learn from them mistakes.
And I guess there was no apprentice program or mentorship program for you to join.
Not back then, and we're going way back, the 70s, 80s in Las Vegas. Fundraising just wasn't a thing. Certainly a professional fundraiser, there was really no one that I could reach out to at the time.
And the book is great. You tell a lot of stories about what you learned that I don't think there's any training that could have prepared you for.
No. Oh, again, as I worry about, the next generation, the young generation now, that are things too easy for them. I think about the organization that I raised $500 million for an organization, and there's 4 campuses and it's fabulous. And then these fundraisers, new young people come in and they think this is what it is. I didn't have a desk. I had to find a desk through my own resources. Now you walk into beautiful buildings or events that are signature events that have been going on for 25 years, and they didn't have to create that and think on the spot. So that worries me about the younger generation of fundraisers.
Of course, now they have the pandemic, a little fire to their feet in terms of pivoting and having to create something fresh and new.
Yes. Yeah. But I remember 9/11 and, shocking. We all thought the world changed then, and everybody was paralyzed and people did not hold their events that weekend. But, I held my event that weekend. It was the best attended because instinctively I knew that people needed each other and they needed to feel normal and they needed to come together. So, yeah, these horrific things happen, but we have to be ready. We have to be warriors and figure this out and not be paralyzed by it.
So I love that you use the word instinctive. What shines through in your book is that you have these fantastic instincts. And one of the reasons I'm not in frontline fundraising is because I don't have them. and I'm curious, really curious, how that plays out with how you managed your life. So you were the working mother of a special needs child, and you were doing events like no one else was doing in Las Vegas. That is intense. Just those 2 things. Plus you had a marriage, you had a life, right? How did you do it? Did you consciously create a plan for how to manage all that, or did things fall together? What happened?
I think just everything came together. I think having to fight for my son right from the day he was born and being told I should stick him in an institution and forget about him. It's like, it was shocking. Dr. Spock didn't have any of that information in his early books. What do you do when someone says, throw the kid away? And so, I went from being this very self-absorbed entertainer on top of the world to, oh my God, I'm being told that my kid is is not worthy of life. And so right away, I had to make the world better for Chris and make it maybe more kinder and understanding for families like me. Well, it's not okay for you to tell me that my kid isn't educable or employable. We've got to give him a chance. And so I was a desperate mom. And the choice was, you either lay down and die and accept things, or you jump in and they change the world. And maybe that's not for everyone, but I meet a lot of moms like me. They're like, get out of my way. What do you mean? So I had to fight to get Chris legal in this country because he was considered unworthy of legal citizenship in the United States. He fell into a category of people who were not acceptable. That was an 18-year fight. And alongside of that, I'm raising money, and I'm fighting for everything.
That is amazing. It's hard to believe that it could be possible that he wouldn't be accepted.
Yes. But then, and also I did have, my mom was there to help. So I could go to work and try to change things. And you'd have to read my book to figure out how I got Chris in this country. But it was a constant fight, but it energized me. Yeah. Maybe my showbiz background helped me be more confident, walk in a door. I was used to being on stage. So that was helpful.
So what do you feel was the top advantage to fundraising for people with special needs at Opportunity Village?
There were few advantages at that time. That particular population, somehow they were considered less worthy. They were considered, as I said, uneducable and unemployable. And I always thought, boy, if I can raise money for people who are hidden away and not accepted, which I did, then fundraising's easy for everyone else, So, but I also quickly realized that it's not so much about the cause, sadly, but it is about human connection, developing relationships with people. And it's not, this fundraising stuff is not rocket science. It is about developing relationships and keeping them and treating people as human beings, real human beings, and talking to them and being real. So then you bring people into your cause because they connect with you.
That really came across in your book, how you were building relationships, and the events were a way to reach out to community members who would otherwise never be interested, like the magical forest at Christmas time. You really brought everyone in, and then suddenly they would know what Opportunity Village was.
Right.
That was brilliant. Did you intend that? Were you thinking, hey, I'll bring the community in, this is how we do it? Or was it just like, I got to do something?
I think it was a little bit of both. It was, back then I didn't, again, when I say I didn't understand the principles of fundraising, how hard it is to do an event and how much easier it is just to sit down and say, give me your money. But back then, this was a little known charity. Nobody knew what Opportunity Village was. And it has become, and in my tenure there, which was almost 40 years, it became Las Vegas's favorite charity, and it became a model for the entire country. That wasn't the way it was at the time. And so I had to make people aware of the organization. And the way I knew, because I didn't have this formal training as a fundraiser, it was like, let's get a barn and throw on a party. So here I had this opportunity. There was some land, and did something that this little light bulb went off when I decorated it at Christmas time, and realized how much people really enjoyed that and how much it reminded them of Mayberry, or the town they came from. And people in Las Vegas were craving this little homespun feeling that they got, and this warmth that they got, away from the glitter of the Las Vegas Strip. So in a way, I was competing with the lights of the Las Vegas Strip. 6 miles off the strip in this little podunk area, I created something that brought people off the strip. And I didn't know that until I tried it, and I realized that. And it grew and it grew. It grew. From the first year, it raised $3,000 to when I left, it's raising $2.5 million every year.
Wow. And there's the story of an acquisition strategy because when no one knows you, Even now with social media, it's hard to get noticed. Your strength almost sounds like you just didn't know any better. Like you listened because you didn't know. So you listened to people and took advantage of those opportunities.
And it's being aware. Absolutely. It's remembering it's not about us and our cause. It's about them and what they need. And so I've always tried to figure out what people want and what people need. Is that an instinct, or is it just looking at myself? What do I want? What do I expect? And so being in the moment and be ready to adapt. And I've got 100 stories of success. And just with that one, if I were to tell any fundraiser that you're going out there, be in the moment. You can practice all you want, but watch what's happening in the room. Look at that person across from you and see how they're reacting to what you say, and be ready to adapt.
Yeah. And that leads me right to what I really wanted to ask you and have you talk a little bit about. Fundraising has changed a lot. We talk about these digital acquisition strategies, et cetera, et cetera. We have all these fun words now, but there's still fundamentals of human behavior that apply that we don't always teach. Do you have any top fundraising tips that are evergreen like that you really would like to share today?
I think what I just said, it's like remembering it's about them, and going on. If you think about that 7 second elevator speech or whatever it is, when you jump in an elevator, and there's somebody who's a potential major donor that you recognize, what are you going to say? Are you going to start blabbing on about your charity, or are you going to talk to them and say, hi, how are you? And I've admired you for years, and I can't believe I'm in the elevator with you. And remembering it's about them. My one quick funny story is I was asking a donor for $25 million. And being in the moment and telling the story and choking up myself because I was so sincere about what I needed. It was a residential community, and I told the story about a donor and a parent I had who had died and never resolved this issue of a residential community for his own daughter. And as I'm telling that story, I'm getting emotional myself. And as I looked at the donor, I saw them getting emotional. And instead of asking for 25 million, I asked for 35 million. And in the end, I got that. And so it's being present and understanding and remembering too, and those stories and connecting the donor to those stories. I've got like 100 examples of that.
That's great. And there's your confidence again. When you're confident, you have the ability to not think about yourself so much and look at the other person and react to that.
I think so. And just remember, when I talk to major philanthropists, they don't feel the love. They tell me that they're asked for a contribution, and that's the last they hear till the next time. And I can't. I'm shocked to know that. And so the advantage of staying with one organization for a long time for me, and staying in a community for a long time, is I could see somebody that I haven't seen for 35 years. And I'm going to be able to connect them to, I always remember Fred, when you gave me that $10 for that meatball festival. And they're going, wow, you remember that? And I'm going, yeah, I remember that. And, so connecting with them, and in your correspondence. One charity, I got 4 letters last year, all form letters. And it's like, don't you know who I am? I don't think you know who you're talking to here. There's something in there, a little personal in that letter. That advice, I guess, is remember your first dollar, connect the dots, and treat people as you would treat your friend. Treat your donor's not a thing. They're a real human being with feelings and wants and needs and desires just like you.
It does feel like going on the first date, feeling this really strong connection, and then never getting the call back.
Yeah, it's not good.
I go to lots of things because I work for nonprofits, lots of fundraisers, things like that. And I'm not often moved, but I went to one and I was moved. It was fantastic. We were in a room of 600 people, and the woman sitting next to me had benefited from the service. And she was, just genuinely talking about it. And I gave, which is,
right.
I can't give everywhere. I didn't get the acknowledgement of the money. They didn't cash the check for like 3 months. I was like, oh, wow, that was poor planning. It should have been immediate.
Right.
So yeah, they kind of lost me. I mean, I felt so excited about them and then nothing, just silence.
Isn't that terrible, this profession that we're in? And to know that, it's shocking, and it's still going on every day. And I see appeals, and I know who's getting these appeals. And so a $5 donor is going to get the exact same message as a $5,000 donor or a $50,000 donor. And I'm going, oh my gosh, what are you doing, guys? So, yeah.
And there are some that really get it right. And you've been a part of making that happen for Opportunity Village.
Well, thank you. I think I got it right. And I feel really good that I'm able to help other people not make the mistakes that I made, and teach them, use some of my experiences to so they can shortcut their way. I have an organization that I help that now do a magical forest in San Diego. They, in their first year, were in this place that I was in my about 10th year, because I was able to tell them all the things not to do. So that was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So speaking of your book, before I let you go, I'm wondering if you'll share, how can people get a copy of it? And is there anything else they should know about the book?
Well, people can go to my website, which is lindaslife.com. It's also available on Amazon. And Linda Smith, very easy spelled, Lindasmith. I formed a foundation named for my son, the Christopher Smith Foundation, and it can be purchased through that website, and also through speaking engagements. And by the way, when you purchase my books, 100% of all proceeds go to the Christopher Smith Foundation in honor of my son, Christopher.
Wonderful. Thank you so much today, Linda. I appreciate you sharing.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
That was Linda Smith, a storyteller, philanthropist, writer, fundraiser, public speaker, disability advocate, mother, wife, and founder and chair of the Christopher Smith Foundation. If you're a fundraiser, Linda's book, Confessions of a Sin City Fundraiser, is going to directly apply to your work. If you're a fundraising researcher, it's also full of gems like what you heard today. As we research donor prospects, we need to have Linda's words ringing in our ears, because it's not about our cause, it's about people and what they need. As Linda mentioned, 100% of book sales go to the Christopher Smith Foundation in support of programs that provide respite to families, scholarships to future caregivers, and on-site hospital sitting services to patients. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come check out the Prospect Research Institute's learning community. It's a membership community with powerful resources, great discussions, and comprehensive courses. Check it out at member.prospectresearchinstitute.org. I'd love to have you join me as a member of the learning community. See you there.